Hello everyone, Loremaster Sotek here, and it's here, finally, the first article for the Shadows of Change content editions, which I'm actually kind of, granted, as excited as I would have been for them to reveal everything at once, I am a little glad that they're kind of doing it in parts, to build up the excitement a little bit, because I don't think we're going to get anything like a trailer for this content update, because it's an addition as opposed to just a full-on release. So I imagine they're just going to kind of do the articles and then release it and be done. But the first article is out, which is for Grand Cathay. So let's not waste any time. I'm very excited to see what they're going to have in here. So let's jump on into it. So I am very, very big on this screen. Let's make me a smidge. There we go. That's better. All right. So we have good old Rich Aldridge is headlining, talking about what's going to be in this. So let's see what he has to say. So reflecting on Shadows of Change. So cut straight to it. We didn't give you enough stuff with the original Shadows of Change. I agree. I think we all agree. So it's really nice to see that they're stacking that, and let's see what they have to talk about. Okay, so we believe we can do this right. Looking at your feedback, we know that you are passionate about the game. Many of the suggestions you asked for are being done. Not all ideas are possible, however. The era of Karl Franz, so they're not calling it the old world. They're saying the era of Karl Franz because the old world is something different. So let's see. All the fortresses featured within Shadows of Change can look for a sizable collection. We will not be adding Hag Mothers as generic lords. Interesting, as Mother Ostenkia is the only Hag Mother of Kislev. Okay. That is honestly fine. And then similarly, the relationship between Gospodars and Ungals is taking a back seat as we look less at the tensions of historic Kislev and more at what defines Kislev as a unified military force in the era of Karl Franz. Okay. Let's actually just do all these real fast. Similarly, we will not be adding beaks to Zongors, as while this avian characteristic occurs in Age of Sigmar, these elite Gors in the old world represent the beastmen who have drawn the eye of the Changer of Ways rather than a totally separate offshoot breed. Alright, so I will start by saying that these definitely feel like Games Workshop, like the actual Games Workshop studio getting involved and being like, what you can and cannot do is XYZ, which is fine. Like that's totally fine. Like it, we can criticize it, we cannot agree with it, but for Games Workshop to step in and be like, this is not the vision that we have for this setting, that's not something we can effectively argue. And I really strongly don't think that's something we can hold against Creative Assembly, because it's not Creative Assembly's fault. That is purely on GW and the vision that they have for the old world. I will say that there's a lot of really interesting things going on that I'm going to be making some videos on, because I've been talking to some folks about it. There's some really interesting tensions going on back in the Games Workshop studio of the main Games Workshop office versus the Forge World office, Forge World is handling Warhammer the Old World, not really the main studio. But apparently there's been some pretty interesting drama going on there, which is resulting in some unfortunate, like, I'll just say it's kind of a dick measuring contest in a sense, where you kind of have, long story short, because I'll get into this in another video and I don't want to waste time on this video really getting into it, but there are individuals involved at DW who are going to want to really put pressure on the concept that things that are in Age of Sigmar should not be in Warhammer Fantasy, and vice versa. That as much as possible, they should be two distinct settings that don't have any overlap whatsoever, which I personally don't agree with, but that's the situation we're currently in, and that's a topic for another day. So what I will say is that in light of that, it does not surprise me that Games Workshop, when it comes to the Zongors, Games Workshop would say, no, your Zongors for Warhammer the Fantasy need to be distinct. They cannot be the Age of Sigmar Zongors. They have to be a different form of Zongor. Which, honestly, it's fine. Like, is it my preferred situation? No, I really like the Age of Sigmar Zongors, and I was totally fine with those. But it's whatever. I will say I still hope that the Warhammer 3 Zongors maybe get a little bit more touch-up. Like, I'd like to see them maybe have feathers or something. I'd like them to have more obvious mutations to make them look a little more distinct, but I'm not gonna like it. To me, it doesn't, it's like, I'd like to see it, but I don't need it. It's whatever. But anyway, as far as the Kislev stuff goes, I'm honestly fine with it. It's a lore change for Kislev is the best way I can explain it. This is a retcon. So if you look back at the writings done by Andy Law, who of course I host Lowbirds with on every Sunday, small plug there, but if you look at Andy Law's version of Kislev and the work that he and his fellow writers did, which is where we got most of the modern Kislev lore from the oh my gosh, Realms of the Ice Queen book for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 2nd edition. That's the book that was like, oh, hag mothers are all over the place, like they're a full thing. Obviously, going into the old world, Games Workshop has changed that. They have changed the lore so that Mother Ostankya is the only mother. She is the mother of the hags. That is her position. That is her name. She is Mother Ostankya. And that is why her faction is called the Daughters of Kislev, is because all other hags are her daughters. So that's just a full-on retcon, which, fine, cool. Like, once again, that's kind of one of those things that, like, I can't argue against it because it's a change to the lore. It's a change to the setting. So for Creative Assembly to say, okay, so in that case, we won't be doing hag mothers because there's only one hag mother. Okay, like, that's Games Workshop's ruling, so we can't argue against that. Once again, we could say it's dumb, but I'm not going to hold Creative Assembly responsible for Games Workshop's decisions because it's out of their hands. I do find it interesting that so the Total War setting is now being referred to as the era of Karl Franz. That it seems like they're really wanting to set down the law of, like, okay, more in like maybe the old world, or maybe even they're referring to much older than the old world. There's supposed to be a lot more tension between Gospodars and Ungol's, whereas in the era of Karl Franz, much of that has kind of been smoothed over. And while those tensions may still exist, they're not so significant as to perhaps have their own specific type of units and characters, as opposed to just kind of being, just something that's kind of sitting in the background. That being said, I do raise my eyebrow a little bit at the concept of, like, oh, we don't want to make the tensions between the Gospodars and the Ungol's super high, because, like, I don't know, to me that doesn't really make sense with the way they decided to go with the Shadows of Change DLC, where, like, Mother Ostankya can't really take any of the regular Kislevite units because she's an Ungol hag mother. So you have to kind of jump through a lot of hoops to be able to get access to the other Kislevite units. And they've also released, like, a series, they released, like, the short story about Prince Yuri and Katerin, which really talks about how Prince Yuri is an Ungol prince, which causes a lot of tension between him and other members of, like, Kislevite society. And it causes, like, a whole incident between him and Kostaltin, because Kostaltin really does not like the Ungol people. And views them like just kind of being as lower class heretics because they are willing to worship, like, the hag witches, not worship, but, like, work with the hag witches, whereas he thinks that, they're a bad thing. So I'm not sure that I agree with the take on that, but once again, this feels like Games Workshop stepping in and trying and kind of laying down the law as opposed to anything Creative Assembly is deciding. So as far as Creative Assembly is concerned, which is the point of this article and the point of this video, I'm totally fine with all these decisions. They've done the best they can, and I'm excited to see what the specifics are, so let's carry on. All right, what to expect moving forward. They're going to make as much content as possible, whether that be adding future characters like the Golden Knight. I do find it funny that they're not even playing around right now. Like, they know that there have been leaks because of the like the IMDb page and stuff. So I do find it funny that instead of being like, oh, who could the legendary heroes be? They're like, yes, we're doing the Golden Knight, whatever. So, okay, cool. We have the Golden Knight 100% confirmed. And then spectacular units and creatures, including the Hot Pot. Oh, please tell me we're getting Hot Pot. Like, I know this may just be a joke. I I would really like to see the halfling hot pot, which for those that don't know, it's literally like a catapult where halflings put like a big thing of like boiling soup on a catapult, which is why it's like a hot pot, and then they launch it at people, and it's fucking hilarious. I would love for the Empire to get hot pots. That would make the moot actually matter, though I would probably prefer that more of like a Dogs of War type DLC as opposed to like just Empire. But anyway, I would love to see that. Please Rich. We're still making plans for many more DLCs, with a couple of them like Thrones of Decay, whereas others will do other stuff. Below, here's what we're doing for Shadows of Change and Thrones of Decay. So Shadows of Change and Thrones of Decay are going to be the same size. They are both now 3 legendary lords for both campaigns. Unique gameplay mechanics for each of those lords. 3 legendary heroes, awesome, 1 per race. 3 regular lords, 1 per race, fucking awesome. 3 heroes, 1 per race, awesome. 5 units of different types per race, awesome. And 3 regiments of renown per race, awesome. 1 free LC character, Echo Hellbreaster. Oh, a legendary lord for Thrones of Decay. Ooh. Okay, hopefully this will shut up all the people that have been really pissed about all the legendary heroes. I personally really love legendary heroes. The more of them, the merrier, in my opinion. But I know a lot of people vastly prefer new legendary lords. But I'm really glad that they're mixing it up. So very excited to see who the bonus legendary lord for Thrones of Decay will be. So it could be a dwarf, Nurgle, or Empire. But that's very exciting that we're going to be getting a 4th legendary lord. Though obviously they're free, they're not part of the DLC, they're just coming alongside it. Very excited to see who that's going to be. I really hope, for me personally, I hope it's Epidemius. I want Epidemius so bad. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's too much like Kugoth, to which I say, shut up, bitch. Leave my man alone. I love Epidemius. But I would love, if anyone wants to do call outs for who they're hoping the bonus legendary lord will be for either of those 3 factions, please let me know down below. Potential future content is that there may be additional free LC. Ooh, okay. There may be additional mounts and there may be additional spell lores, but these will only be applied if they are appropriate for the content, which is fine. That makes sense. Obviously, you don't want to force like a lore of magic. Like for the Thrones of Decay, I'm not expecting a new lore of magic for Thrones of Decay because there's none that I think would be appropriate. Obviously there's someone that could come out of left field and be like, but what about this really weird fucking idea? But like, I personally don't think there's an appropriate lore that should be added with that. All right, so Shadows of Change with update 4.2. So Shadows of Change is going to be gaining 2 new legendary heroes, 2 new lords, 2 new heroes, 6 new units. That's interesting that they said there's going to be 5 units per race, but they're going up to 16 instead of 15. So like, cool. No new regiments of renown, 1 new magic lore, and 1 new piece of free LC content. Awesome. Thank you again for your feedback. That's one way to put how people responded. As mentioned above, everyone will have a legendary hero, legendary lord, hero, 5 units, and 3 regiments of renown. This will hopefully let you lead more thematic armies that are both connected to the DLC and have better roster mixes. That's awesome. Where possible, with further content, we will also be adding thematic lures of magic, mounts for new and existing characters to make use of, and some much requested free LC. Caterin Sled! Oh, thank you! Oh my god! Fucking finally! Oh my god, that's another W for the community, dude. We had to fight for much longer to get Albrecht de Bordelot his stupid trident, and now we got Caterin her stupid sled. Mwah! Mwah! Thank you. I am so excited to see her sled. I really hope it's going to be like her. I'm really hoping it'll either be her original tabletop model, which I believe was pulled by like white horses, or I hope that it's pulled by white reindeer. I know there are some people that are like, oh, it should be pulled by bears. It's like, no, I don't want any more fucking bears. I've had enough bears for a lifetime. Please, no more bears. Please, no more bears. I personally am hoping for either white reindeer or white horses. But we'll see what happens. Hope that everything will be much more in line with your DLCs. Okay, on to Grand Cathay additions. Woohoo! Did they mention what the lore of magic was? I don't think they did. It has to be the lore of hags, right? Like, it has to be the lore of hags. I don't know what else it could be. Maybe they talk about that later. Okay. We'll okay. All right. So, Grand Cathay editions. Grand Cathay is focused, because it's around the DLC, it's focused on the Great Jade Dragon and the Celestial Court. This is meant to be the servants of the Celestial Dragon Emperor and be able to react all over the Empire quickly. We're looking into units we haven't included, help us fill some gaps, such as the Gate Master and the Celestial Lion. The Lion in particular is something that almost made the original cut, but has now been added. And our first ever legendary hero, Satang the Watcher, Sentinel of the Heavens. Oh, dude, is he a fucking Gundam? Oh my god, look how big he is! Oh my god. So it's a Terracotta Sentinel legendary hero. Oh, that's fucking awesome. They have a goddamn mecha legendary hero. Oh boy. All right. So let me introduce Cathay's first colossal legendary hero. We wanted to add Satang to move away from what is currently known about Grand Cathay and showcase some other inhabitants. Satang represents an ever-watching protective figure, not dissimilar to on Bo, but as you see, is a fair bit larger. Satang gives us the opportunity to expand on Grand Cathay's use of magical constructs, something which is core to this great nation, how it protects itself, along with giving them devastating long-range artillery-like potential. Satang also lends themselves nicely to the connection the Jade Dragon has to the Wind of Vizier and the more magical elements of Grand Cathay. Known as the Guardian of the Sky, the Heavenly Bowman, or commonly to the people of the southern provinces, simply the Watcher. Oh, interesting. So he's from the Mountains of Heaven. So that's super interesting. So he guards the border between the Kingdoms of End and Grand Cathay. Okay, interesting. Satang is the great sentinel that stands atop the Mountains of Heaven. Towering over other sentinels, Satang is an imposing sight with its outstretched wings and great stone feathered helm. Those who have witnessed Satang in battle claim no armor or barrier can turn aside the arrows it fires from its great wind bow, the shafts piercing the ranks of enemies and even the iron hides of fell beasts. And though Satang cannot fly in a true sense, its power allows it to leap great distances, even jumping from mountain peak to mountain peak in defense of the Empire. Oh, that's fucking sick. Okay, so he can't actually fly. But he is able to Superman jump. He can leap buildings in a single bound. As you can see from the first step, when we take designing adding units to our DLC with the thumbnail image, it gives us a quick and flexible method to work with Games Workshop and first realize the character or unit. His job is to get across the scale, flavor, functionality, and work. Okay, cool. God, that's such a bitchin' design, man. He looks like he's bigger than the other Terracotta Sentinels as well. I kind of wish we had a side-by-side with him and another Sentinel. He looks huge. Like, you can see the little regular dude next to him only comes up to like his knee. Cool. They're just talking about how they make it. Oh my god, look how pretty he is. He's gorgeous. Oh my fuck, that looks okay. I was expecting Shi-Hong. I thought we were gonna get Shi-Hong, but I am so much more happy with this. Like, Shi-Hong's a cool character. I hope we get the blind Master Artificer of Nangal someday. This character is so much more badass, though. All right. Satang the Watcher is a giant-sized legendary hero, which, disregarding mounted characters, is a rare sight in Total War Warhammer 3. Much like the Bone Giant of the Tomb King, Satang uses a giant magical bow to fire artillery-grade projectiles into enemy lines. Satang is also relatively strong close combat with good defensive stats and the ability to buff other nearby constructs. Satang doesn't fly, even with those great wings, but can jump large distances. Woo! I wonder if he has an active ability so he can, like, leap from one place on the battlefield to another to, like, reposition really, really fast. That would be an incredibly powerful ability. With the introduction of Satang into the game, we have reevaluated the role of constructs on the Cathay roster. The Terracotta Sentinel and both Guardian Lions are now considered constructs, with the same rules as constructs found in the Tomb King's roster. Satang has an ability that synergizes with these types of units. Awesome. I really like that idea. I think that's an excellent decision. I'm curious if they're going to add any kind of, like, bonus to certain characters to work with the constructs. I feel like that would probably be best saved for when we get Master Artificers, if we ever get them. But if we ever get Master Artificers, I almost feel like that would kind of be their role, is to like synergize with the constructs like the Necrotechs do for Tomb Kings. But I'm very excited to see this. Tough and heavy. Satang has a high amount of armor, which enables it to shrug off most attacks from non-armor piercing sources. As a heavier character, he can send smaller flows flying with ease. And a giant bow. He's armed with the wind bow. All right, 10 out of 10. I am extremely excited about this legendary hero. He looks fucking amazing. The Gatemaster. Hooray! The least surprising character, but an awesome decision. I'm really glad we're getting... So, A, this is fucking awesome because this means that Cathay is getting a melee dedicated hero. Thank you. So you can actually have proper warriors instead of just wizards. You may have seen the art of this character since the release of Total War Warhammer 3 because he was a character that didn't quite make the final cut, but hey, he's here now. Jade Warriors are the professional soldiers of Grand Cathay, and the Gatemaster of the Celestial Leaders' cities are their leaders. To earn the title of Gatemaster, a Jade Warrior must have served in the defense of their city, and many are veterans of the Empire's many wars. Like their soldiers, a Gatemaster is trained in defensive warfare and how best to defend their city, and as such know how to read the lay of the land before a battle. This can prove useful in acting the will of their Lord Magistrate, who trust their Gatemasters above all other officers in their armies. Yeah, I've seen the artwork for this guy. So, very, very happy that he's made it into the game. Awesome, great, cool. Let's see what he does. He can only ride a warhorse. So that's cool, because this means it's just a regular guy. Like, he's not dragon-blooded. He's just a normal dude who has proven himself to such an extent that he has received a promotion. We love for him. Slay, King, slay. All right. The Gatemaster is a defensive line-holding hero with hybrid weaponry. Using his abilities, he can buff the defenses of nearby troops while shooting enemies with his crossbow. Oh, that's awesome! So he's a shooting character as well. Okay, that's excellent. I was not expecting him to be a hybrid character. So the fact that he has, so he's sword and board, and then also has the crossbow. That's excellent. That means he covers a bunch of different options for Grand Cathay. Oh man, he's gonna be such a good hero. Shooting enemies with crossbow behind the main line. Fun fact is that the Gatemaster is the first hero with a conventional crossbow that we've put into a game, because Dark Elf crossbows don't count because they're repeater crossbows, which will serve the armies of Cathay well in many different scenarios. I think this is awesome. This is going to make an excellent addition to the Cathayan roster. He uses sword, shield, and crossbow, making adaptable. He excels at defensive warfare with several abilities that buff friendly battle lines. Dude, this guy's going to be disgusting in Cathayan armies. Like, Cathayan armies are already so good on defense. This guy is going to be very strong. When mounted on a warhorse, he can move quickly around the battle lines. Great. The Great Moonbird. Whoa, look at this thing. Whoa, I don't even know what kind of bird this is based on. Okay, so I could kind of see the phoenix in, like, it's the way the model, like, animates. But I know this is a really interesting bird. I don't know what kind of bird this is. Continuing the theme of the Celestial Court, and to give Grand Cathay some added flying power, we've added the Great Moonbird as both a single entity flying monster and a mount option. Oh, awesome. Favorite of the Moon Empress, the Great Moonbirds are found in the highest peaks of the mountains of heaven. They're said to make their nests in the craters of Manslive. Oh, that's so cool. The silver moon of the Warhammer world, and only fly down to Earth when called by either the Empress herself or the most powerful of astromancers. Fearsome to behold in battle, the Moonbird are often wreathed in silvery flames or moonfire, which burns the enemies of the Empire who come into contact with it. Powerful lords, especially wizards of the Celestial Court, may even be granted a Moonbird as a mount, though this is usually only for a short time before the creature once more returns to the heavens. That is fucking sick. So I love that the lore segment says that, like, oh yeah, they live in the mountains of heaven, which the mountains of heaven, from multiple sources that we have in the newer lore, the mountains of heaven are the tallest mountain range in the world. Like, they are it. They are the Himalayas, right? They are the uber mountains of the Warhammer Fantasy world. From the more modern sources we have. So of course these birds would live up there, but then I also like that it's like, oh yeah, but they totally are from the moon as well. Which, I mean, they could be. Could you imagine you're calling in like bird support and you're summoning like a fucking alien from the moon? I love their design. It's such a unique. I'm sure this is based on some kind of bird that lives in China, but really, really love their design. Similar to the High Elf Phoenixes, the Great Moonbird is a magical flying monster with flaming attacks and a powerful AoE vortex ability. Grand, so new strategies will become viable in battle, whether it's providing air-to-air defense for sky junks or striking deep into the enemy lines. The Great Moonbird is also a mount for the Astromancer. Awesome! Okay, so, wow, the Astromancers are eating good, which, I mean, makes sense. Like, the Astromancers are the most supported wizard within Grand Cathay. Like, Astromancers are their shit. Because the Court of Astromancers is like is the highest magical authority within Grand Cathay, the Court of the Astromancers. So, like, they are the Celestial Dragon Emperor's like favorite boys when it comes to, and pretty much the only wizards that are like openly not sanctioned, openly allowed, as opposed to, you know, all of the like the other wizards, like supposedly the Jade-Blooded Sorcerers who seem to specialize in Gairan, or the alchemists who specialize in shaman, which those seem like they're both not strictly legal. So I think this is great, and does a good job of showing why the Astromancers are so preferred. Okay, so it can fly. Moonfire. By flapping its wings, the Great Moonbird can produce a vortex of moonfire, which damages all enemies caught within its radiance. Okay, I'm really, really curious if it's gonna be. I'm curious if it's the exact same as the Arcane Phoenix, where like you activate the ability and it like dives into the ground and creates like a vortex of fire that moves around a little bit, or if it's going to be a different animation. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really care either way. I know some people get like really upsetty spaghetti about like, they're just reusing assets, but it's like, who fucking cares? Like, as long as I'm getting something new to the roster and it performs well, I don't really care if they're recycling assets. I'm gonna be honest, because like, it's fine. I just don't care. I know some people do. I personally don't. I do love that the Astromancers can take them as a mount. That's gonna make the Astromancer hero significantly different. I mean, they could already ride on the chariot, the whooshing compass, but or the war compass rather. But I'm really, really excited to see they're gonna monstrous mount as well. That's gonna make Astromancers have such a more dynamic relationship compared to like the alchemist. I like that a lot, because like the alchemist has some unique functions which are great, in that the alchemists have the buff ability where you can specialize them into like, they give you better armor piercing or flaming attacks, or they give you poison attacks in addition to their magic. So like they have a unique support role. But now, and the Astromancers didn't really do anything that was like equivalent. But by giving them more mount options where it's like, okay, I can put them on the War Compass so that they have like additional bound spells and they're also buffing my magic in various ways. Or I could put them on a fucking Moonbird so that they're able to be a monstrous support, which is awesome. And then the Celestial Lion. Probably my favorite model of the new additions to Grand Cathay. Celestial Lion's beauty and strength second to none, acting as both a single entity monstrous flying unit and a mount. For characters, the Celestial Lion will strike terror. Winged lions exist in the East, believed to have descended from natural beasts warped during the coming of chaos to the world. Unlike the fell manticores of the West, these celestial beasts have been purified by the power of the Dragon Emperor and live within the sacred hunting grounds of the Forest of the Moon. Interesting. Okay, so the Forest of the Moon are near the Kunlun Mountain, if my memory serves. Because that's where like Kuei Yin's sacred forests are. Favorite sorcerers or warriors may be gifted such a creature by the dragons, riding into battle and striking fear into those of the Empire. Oh my god, it's beautiful. Oh, it's super fucking pretty. What does it look like in game? Oh, that is a pretty monster. Oh my, I love the colors. It's like a regal manticore. Wow, that is sick. I fucking love this thing. Oh my goodness. The Celestial Lion is another flying single entity monster for the armies of Cathay to utilize. Similar to a Griffin or Manticore, it is able to provide air support on a budget compared to higher tier units like the Great Moonbird. Celestial General can use this as a mount. Awesome. Okay, so that makes the Celestial General far more unique. Because I did like that the Celestial General could ride the oh my gosh, the Great Jade Longmas. But this is fucking spectacular. Wow, what a fucking beautiful creature. I'm curious if the mask is on every version of the model, or if the mask is only on like the mounted version, and then the basic, I'm assuming, based on this artwork, I'm assuming the mount version has the gold armor and then the regular version doesn't. I hope that's the case, because I actually really prefer it without, like, the mask is cool looking, but I love seeing the face. Yeah, it's a beautiful monster. Let's see. So it's very fast. It has excellent ground mobility, which is cool. It can fly. It has the fearsome roar ability and terror attribute. I wonder, I'm assuming, I think fearsome roar is the same thing the Griffin has, no, that's blood roar. The Griffin has blood roar. So I'm curious if fearsome roar is the same as blood roar, or if it's an active ability that does something else. I will say it's kind of interesting that because in the lore description, they talk about it can be used by sorcerers or warriors, but it seems to only be a mount for the Celestial General. A part of me almost feels like it should be a mount for the Shuken as well, but I'm not like completely sold on the idea, because I'm often fine with wizards not having the like high tier melee mounts, because I kind of prefer when wizards are kind of forced to be more support roles. I like how you can see the what is it? Satang? I already forgot. Satang. Okay. But Satang looks amazing just in the background there. But absolutely kick-ass monster. All right. For end today, I want to cover an omission you may have been hoping for in Grand Cathay's roster update, an Elite Core Infantry unit. There's a very good reason for this, and trust that we aren't monkeying about. Okay, so 2 super interesting things. A, no monkey warriors. I called that. I've been telling everyone there's not going to be monkey warriors. It's too early for the monkey warriors. They're going to save them for a very particular time. And there was just zero way they were going to put them in here. So I'm very glad they didn't give in to like pressure and are maintaining like, no, we're going to come back to Grand Cathay later and add more stuff, and the time for the monkey warriors will come when it's here. Like, you don't want to rush it in just to have it. There's an appropriate time and appropriate place, and it's not time yet. So I'm very glad they didn't just shove the monkey warriors in, because I want to wait until we have like a dedicated DLC or free DLC or whatever that focuses on the Monkey King and his Elite Core Infantry. The other thing that is super interesting, no Tigermen. There's no Tigermen in this DLC, and you may remember from a previous video I made that they are working on Tigermen, at least according to the IMDb thing, which has been pretty accurate so far. Like those leaks have been pretty those reveals have really yet to not play out super well. Like the vast majority of the time they turn out to be accurate. So I still think this means, in my opinion, this means that I think we're getting the Kingdoms of End. I legitimately think that we are going to see the Kingdoms of End maybe next year, maybe late this year, possibly. Granted, it's not a guarantee. You know, it could be that maybe they're going to do like a Dogs of War type thing. You know, we've seen some stuff on the Reddit that suggests that Dogs of War might be in the cards, which if they do the Dogs of War correctly, in my opinion, it would be like, okay, here's Talea as a new playable race, but we're also going to add a bunch of mercenary units like all over the world. And the Tigermen would be like, having the Tigermen be a recruitable unit from the village of the Tigermen for certain races would be fucking awesome as like a mercenary unit. That being said, I feel very strongly now we're going to be getting the Kingdoms of End in like the foreseeable future. So this is super exciting. So anyway, the first, as we explained, is that the focus for this DLC was supposed to be on the Celestial Court and the Jade Dragon. The second being that the Celestial Courts don't really have a core infantry unit to add. That said, we've only scratched the surface of possible content we can create for Grand Cathay, and as I mentioned earlier, we have a lot of future support. All right, what can we expect for patch 4.2? When can we expect it? The teams are still working flat out to have everything ready for release, but we want to be upfront with you that the date could shift a little bit. There might be some last minute issues we want to fix. That's totally fine. Take your time. Well, I would rather have it come out and be good than be rushed out and be a mess. Please, God, take your time. Don't rush it out, dudes. Don't rush it out. It's important for all of us here to get patch 4.21 for you, so we won't, or 4.2 right for you, so we won't rush it out. As I said, we're on track to release the middle of February Okay, if that's true, we could be seeing this DLC as early as next week. As it stands on today, as it stands today, we're on track for that. However, this could shift closer to the end of February, depending on how everything else goes. I'm optimistic, and the team is super energized in getting everything done and put into your hands. Next week, I'll be back with a deep dive on the units coming to Tzeentch, as well as a confirmation of release date. Oh, I'm so fucking excited. I'm so fucking excited. Okay, so I feel pretty confident that the lore of magic they're going to add is the lore of hags. Which is very, very, very exciting. Oh my goodness, I'm excited. Oh my gosh. Okay, so far, I am very, very excited. I think so long, you know, obviously we still need to see what we have in store for Tzeentch and Kislev, but if they keep up this level of quality as far as like the stuff being added, I really, really feel like the Shadows of Change is going to be worth the price point. At least in my opinion. Granted, not everyone may agree with that, but I am feeling extremely happy about this set of reveals so far. I'm just gonna speed read through all this to make sure I didn't miss anything. I'm really curious what the general for the Mother Ostenkia will be, considering that there's not going to be hag mothers. Like presumably it's not going to be a wizard then. I'm curious if it's going to be like some kind of Ungol lord. Because like it's going to be something that's supposed to work with Mother Ostenkia. Really, really curious how that's going to work. But yeah, all this looks super duper good. I'm incredibly excited for Katarin's sled. I'm really excited, which I'm assuming is the bonus free LC thing. I'm really excited for the Golden Knight. I can't wait to see her. I think for me so far, the biggest new thing for me is probably Satang. Satang looks fucking incredible. I am elated with Satang. I think a quick second for me is probably the Celestial Lion. But everything looks absolutely amazing. I'm glad we're getting more big, monstrous mythological units for Cathay, which feels appropriate for the Celestial Court, where, you know, you have the moon, the great Moonbird being kind of the Moon Empress, and then you have the Celestial Lion being more the Celestial Dragon Emperor, so kind of like those two. You got new yin and yang monsters, it feels like. I'm curious if the Moonbird is going to have the yin designation, considering it should be, because it's a yin entity. But I also feel like the Onyx Crowmen should have the yin designation, because the Onyx Crowmen are literally creatures made out of yin, but they're still considered yang right now. Which, granted, that could be more for balance reasons rather than lore. But anyway, please let me know what y'all think of this down below. The biggest thing I would love to hear from y'all is, based on what you've seen so far, do you think this makes Shadows of Change worth the price point? Like, do you look at this and go, okay, fuck yeah, I'm gonna buy Shadows of Change if I haven't already? Or are you gonna look, or are you like, no, I still need XYZ to be added? Like, I still want to see what, like, let me know either A, if you're like, hell yeah, I think this is worth it and I'm gonna buy it if I haven't already, or B, no, I still want them to add X, Y, or Z, or C, no, it's just too much. Like, it's just too much money. I'll wait for it to be on sale. Or like, no, I just don't think it's worth it. I would really, really love to see y'all's thoughts down below on this. And hopefully we can like talk about it on a live stream or whatever, or maybe do a follow-up video. But thank you all so much for watching. Very excited about this. I'm busy with a lot of old world stuff right now, but I cannot wait for 4.2 to come out. So thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.